seniors and sophomores combined, and a total of 171 juniors and freshmen combined. And so that's the closest even divide we'd have anyways. And so juniors and freshmen will now be going on Thursday. And it'll be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 9 a.m. is when we will be loading and leaving, and 2 p.m. is when we will be returning. And it will be to the San Diego Safari Park. They offer free tickets to any school district in the San Diego County. And so it's a free field trip. All we're paying is for busing, and that's going through site council since they've set aside money for busing and school-wide field trips. And so it's a free field trip to all the students. Permission slips are being handed out today during advisory to the respective advisory classes. And if you have any questions about that, you can ask me at the end of this calendar. I'm only halfway through the month of May. It's fantastic. And then there's a parents' senior graduation meeting on the 16th after school. And then we have our ASB elections the 17th of Friday. We have our final study groups from the 20th through the 24th. That's mostly for the students. However, if you'd like to bring your student along, teachers are submitting extra credit for after-school study groups, and ASB will be selling snacks after school. And Friday we'll be having a food truck, so if they'd like to buy food if they stay after. It's all week that week before finals week starts for seniors and everyone else at the school, and teachers will be watching and monitoring in the forum. And so if you feel like that's something your student's interested in, they can stay after school with their friends and work on some homework or extra credit for classes they may need to catch up on, and teachers have submitted extra credit for those.
What times again, Allison?
From 4 to 7 for the final study groups.
Thank you.
From the 20th to the 24th.
Okay.
And then we have our annual BHS Olympics. That's an all-day field day for the entire school. We have recently started renting out activities. We did a island joust last time. It was a giant blow up, and we'd have to knock each other off of these stands with blow up sticks. And then we are sending out a survey, I think next week, about activities they'd like to see. And it's just a field day for students to have fun and to compete against each other. It's another advisory competition. And it's mainly just a way to wind down before the end of the year, especially before finals come up, because that is the week before finals as well. So that's May 23rd. And then May 24th, we have the end of the year pep rally, where we will be recognizing the winners of the BHS Olympics, and where we will be having just a final hoorah before we have to leave for the rest of the school year and before finals begin, because finals go up until the end of the school year. And then we have Prom Spirit Week during finals week, which is the 28th through the 31st, since we have no school Monday. And we have a site council meeting the 29th. And then we end off with prom on June 1st. And prom is going to be at the Museum of Arts in Escondido. And I don't believe I quite have the times on that, but there was recently a chaperone list sent out to all the staff on campus. And if we need to, we'll further be reaching out to the parents as well. The theme is A Night in Venice. And it's for juniors and seniors. However, they are able to invite lower classmen. They just have to fill out a special form if a junior or senior wishes to invite a lower classman. Okay, that's all of May and June. Are there any questions? Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about the honors
Field trip?
Whatever you were talking about going to Sacramento?
So the Honors Club is our way of doing honors credit for English and history. And we compete at National History Day either in one of, I think, 6 categories: through a documentary, group or individual, through an exhibit, group or individual, through a paper, through a performance, or through a website, group or individual. And so you compete based off of their topic. This year, I believe it was Triumph and Tragedy. And you submit it and you compete against everyone in the San Diego County. And we competed at the Education Center, I believe, in San Diego. And if you win, if you're one of the top 3 winners, you are able to go up to Sacramento and compete in California. If you win in California against all the schools who compete there, you get to go to Maryland and compete nationwide. All throughout the United States. And so it's a honors credit competition, while also you get awards along the way and recognition for what you put together along the way. The people who are going are a senior of ours, Elmer. We have Taylor Gomez Douglas and Adriel Lopez, Heather Haldo and Sada Berkeley, and then who am I missing? Or is it just those 5? I think it's just those 5. And then Remy are attending since we're helping plan the events, and we're the presidents of the club. And so we'll be following them and supporting them, and we'll be documenting it so we could show next year's group what the whole system is like and how it goes and how it works. I did attend last year with Sean Heck. and we submitted a group documentary. And so I have personally gone through it myself, but this year we're going to document it and make sure to share it with the rest of the classes that come up.
That's a great idea.
The whole, like all of the honors participate, at least in
Yeah, the
initial
entire honors
stage.
class participates. And then the school pays for the application, so it's a $35 application fee to submit your project, and then it's a $95 application fee to submit your project to Sacramento competition. But the school will pay for the $35, and then they'll be able to submit whatever project they worked on throughout the year based off of that theme. And then if they win, they will go on to Sacramento. If they win there, they will go on to Maryland. Well, your question? Was that your question?
No, I didn't have a question.
Like,
I'm just looking how cute you are.
Are there
Did
any
you
questions?
pull all that from the calendar, or do you have that? Because I wasn't able to start recording.
It's
right
all
at
on the
beginning.
calendar.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I had on my calendar from probably the beginning of the year that there was a field trip for 11th grade on Friday. Is that no more? And it's now this animal park.
I believe
Sorry, park.
that was a separate
Right.
field trip for maybe, I think it might have been planned as a college field trip, but that would likely have fallen through. This is our very first school-wide field trip we're trying to do for all the students at the school and trying to make it as a sort of tradition. And so this is going to be our first try at a field trip for everyone. We wanted it to be all in the same day, but the Safari Park has a limit of 200 attendees per school, and so that's why it's split up in 2 days. And it's split up, the classes are split up the way it is because we don't want a bunch of lowerclassmen partying it up at a Safari Park, mostly on their lonesome, while the upperclassmen are together. So we're kind of, one, including a family atmosphere, and two, trying to have the upperclassmen set a tone, and then trying to make sure that we give a good first impression for our very first school-wide field trip.
And we're gonna try to do it again in September next year, because it'd be better to have the bring everybody together field trip earlier in the year. So we'll try to do it in September, maybe early October, depending on
And it,
on how that works
it
out.
could be to Knott's Berry Farm. They also have a education field trip-ish there, but we'd have to pay for that one.
Or it could be Balboa Park.
Balboa Park,
That's
we
the
have a
other
bunch of
option.
options.
So we'll let you know when that's get a little closer. Probably have that more finalized over the summer.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? No?
Thank you.
I'm just studying for my essay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Madison.
Next.
You have some slides for us?
No.
No.
I wanna go over what I sent out.
I know. That's why I asked her where it was, because I didn't record the whole thing. It's all right. A lot of it.
I didn't even write like.
So the big kind of topic the last several weeks has definitely been our testing. Been very pleased, honestly, with how seriously all the kids who are testing have taken the testing. We worked very, very hard to impress to the kids how important the testing was going to be this year, and decided, possibly erroneously, to have it the week before spring break, but most of the kids took it very seriously, despite the fact that spring break was coming up, because we figured as you get closer to summer, you have the same kind of lack of focus anyway. So we got probably 90% of the students done. Prior to spring break, there were some students that were out, and some students who we had some issues getting their accommodations in, so they're testing this week for the most part. And so right now I think we're down to like our last maybe 4 or 5 that need to complete testing. So as far as our CASP English and math class, math tests go, very pleased. People seem to take it very seriously. Took a long time to complete, in fact longer than we had really scheduled in a lot of cases. So we had a lot of kids coming back after lunch to finish up tests. So I think we'll see some very good results from that. Next week is the science test, also for the 11th graders. They all pretty much are in the same science class at 11th grade, so that's been really easy to sort of prep for and kind of get the kids psyched for it. So I think that that test will go very well as well. I've been going to a number of meetings in San Diego and at the district office having to do with school improvement and getting really information from the state about how we're going to the different paperwork we have to fill out, the different plans we have to put together, the money, how it needs to be spent on school improvement. And so I have a presentation for the school site council for next week when we have that meeting. And the nice thing about that is it's actually, the money has gone up a little bit, so there's actually an extra almost $15,000 in that than what we had accounted for, so it's now $173,000. So a lot of that needs to be spent specifically on teacher training. So a lot of that's already in our school site plan. So we'll kind of walk through how that looks as far as that $173,000, and then we'll talk about what things that we don't have necessarily budgeted yet that we could be kind of focused on. Kind of going along with that, purchasing a lot of new materials for our classrooms. We're in process of that, getting some more computers. We need to replace about 100 of our current Chromebooks for current students, because theirs are a generation or two back that are getting kind of crumbly. And we probably will need to order another 150, 175 for our incoming freshmen, and then some extras just so we have them to be able to replace as we have breakage and as we have new students coming in. So that hopefully will be done before we get out of here in June. Kind of going off of what Madison said, all the various events, the school-wide field trip took a lot of time and effort to get scheduled. Things we didn't think about were all the kids that had the college classes, so of course we had to try to accommodate the times when they could come. There was a senior event on Thursday where we originally had scheduled the seniors, and even though we'd probably be back in time, didn't want to really push that because we never know what the traffic looks like coming out of Escondido. So decided to push them back a day. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully the next year we'll be able to go somewhere where the entire school can go together. I think the benefits of that are great, and especially if we do it early in the year to kind of bring some cohesiveness together. Mr. Costa and I did meet with the district about inter-district transfers. We have fewer inter-district transfers out from the middle school than we've had in years past. So that's a very good sign. I think we're looking at having a fairly large freshman class next year. And we're pretty much ready for that as far as our master schedule goes. So that's kind of the updates on that side of the house. And then just from this point on, finals, senior activities, and getting the kids graduated are kind of the biggest issues.
Can we talk about Link Crew at this point? I mean, do we know that's happening, or
We know that's happening, but we don't really know enough
What word
about
did
it
you
yet.
just use?
called Link Crew?
Link Crew. We're becoming part of an organization that basically trains a couple of staff members in how to be mentors to older students so that they can then learn how to be mentors and tutors to younger students. And they help them to bring together, basically help have like different events, and so they sort of work in tangent with ASB a little bit to be sort of the kind of the student ambassadors for culture is basically what they do.
And especially for incoming like ninth
Right.
graders, it's
Right.
just making that transition into high school and having support to do that as they're making that transition.
And we've had a little bit of issues with getting the training scheduled
Okay.
appropriately.
Got it.
So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to have that done so that we have something in place for this upcoming freshman year.
Okay,
But it is looking a little bit problematic.
got it.
So, but hopefully that happens.
All right.
But in any case, we'll get started as soon as we can on that. Yes, ma'am.
You said something about the master schedule. When will our kids get their classes?
Next week, probably late in the week, they'll all be getting access to a Google Doc where they can make their selections for their first, second, and third choice classes. Really, they'll be selecting their sort of electives that are appropriate for their grade levels. As far as, if you're in Math 1, you'll be moving on to Math 2, so those will be selected for them. But that will happen next week. And we'll follow that up with an email home to you guys on the day that it goes out so that you'll know that you can help sort of counsel them. And that will feature everything from the Avid classes for the new freshmen, so our 8th graders will be getting access to it essentially the same couple of days, to our AP classes. So encouraging the students, on whether or not they want to take a regular history class or an AP class or not. I mean, I think that the more kids that are ready for it, the more kids that want to challenge themselves, the more that'll rise to the occasion. So hopefully a lot of you will encourage your students to go ahead and take that extra, more rigorous option, because it just looks great as far as colleges are concerned if that's their plans. And alternatively, I think that when you set the bar high, kids tend to rise to it. So hopefully most kids will want those options, and we'll be able to offer more because we have such a need. Yes, ma'am.
Are those AP classes different than the honors classes that have been offered so far?
AP classes are a step above honors.
And that's something new.
And that's something new, and AP is kind of a national program. You have to go through certain certification criteria. The teachers have to get trained. They have to follow a certain curriculum that meets a certain level of rigor. I mean, the curriculum has a little bit
What
of...
classes will be offered in AP?
We're going to have for kind of the 10th grade, well, it doesn't really matter because with AP you can talk about different grade levels taking different classes. But right now we're looking at an AP stats class. We're looking at an AP computer science class. We're looking at an AP human geography class, an AP American Lit class.
Is there one more?
I think there's one more, but those 5 for sure. And then we'll still be having kind of our regular world history honors options. We'll have honors options for government, honors options for U.S. history as well. So having those various levels. And my experience with AP, by the way, has been that even some of the lowest kids, the kids that don't necessarily score that well in traditional classes, can do very well in AP. It's just about motivation. If they want to work hard to do it, if they want to put in the extra time. AP classes definitely take more time. I mean, there's a lot more homework. There's a lot more after school sort of having to just kind of plow through the information. And ultimately at the end of the year, what really sets AP aside from other honors and different kind of classes like that is that there's a test. And so the kids will have to opt to take that test to be able to then get college credit if they do well enough on that test. So that's sort of how AP works.
And you said there were some sophomore AP classes?
The appropriate for sophomores would be the AP Computer Science, the AP Human Geography, maybe for the kids that are very, very sort of math savvy, the AP Stats wouldn't be so bad. So there's a few options that are appropriate for the 10th graders.
At the beginning of the year, you were talking about restructuring the math, and I know so far you've offered that college level, is it algebra, the 117 or whatever it is?
Right.
But I think it was still being worked on earlier in the year. Has that been worked on?
We're still working with Palomar on some of those things. We had the first plan was to offer a 75, which is basically kind of the 50-60 that we offered this year combined with a little bit more. So it's really kind of intended to be kind of a deep dive into just basic skills to really bring the kids up as quickly as possible kind of thing. And it looks like for whatever reason the college is having difficulty staffing that. So that's a little bit up in the air a little bit still.
Is there like a calculus, I think it was a calculus college level? Only because if they have to make their decisions next week.
Right, and we'll be having, and we'll still have a calculus course being taught here on campus.
That's a college course?
That's just a regular high school course. The AP, the Palomar whatever it is above 110, the 115 or the 117 is basically a calc. So that's an option that's available. That'll be second semester of next year. So you would jump in the 110 or the 115.
So
and then,
110 and 117 are still going to be
Correct.
offered here next
Correct.
year?
Correct. Miss Erin and Miss Crystal are going to be going around to each of the advisory classes next week as kind of part of the presentation to kind of pass out the forms and talk about, you know, this is kind of what each of these classes are, and this is kind of the direction you want to head. So there'll be kind of a general presentation by grade to each student to kind of talk about it that way. And in the actual form itself, the kids can click the name of the course to really get a course description that will kind of talk about how it goes into their grad plan.
So, I guess what my other part of the question is, if they have a goal, life, a life goal, and we have a counselor, and we have to, like, I didn't go to college, I don't know all the steps I need to take to do all the things. I'd like my kids to be able to utilize them, to be able to help them put together a game plan for high school.
Absolutely.
That will set them up. Is that something that they should make individual appointments for?
That's
Do
the
they
best way
do
to fast track
something?
that. She is trying to meet with individual kids kind of as she gets to them. And so I think this year, obviously, we had to start with the seniors because,
Yeah.
they have a little less time. I think she's gotten down through most of the juniors now, and she's met with a handful of kids that are, the ones that are more knocking on the doors to get that stuff done. So if you want to fast track that, absolutely get an appointment. I think that's the best way to do that. And she's trying to, I think there's going to be another counselor night. This time, this last one was more or less our juniors that are going to become seniors. That was held last week. In the next couple of weeks, there's going to be one more, and I don't really know what the date is yet. I don't know that it's been scheduled for our 10th graders.
It
So
was
specifically for 10th
tremendously
grade parents.
helpful. I think that 10th graders I think the whole school should be invited, but definitely.
Right.
Cause it feels kind of like, as a parent, like looking ahead, like I have no idea what to do to create a plan for them to be successful in picking these classes. I'm like, I don't know, you wanna be a nurse, how do I make this happen
Right.
for you?
And I would encourage you to go to that meeting along with your kids,
Okay.
Yeah.
with Miss Erin, and attend those nightly information seminars. I think that when the ones that we've had have been very, very informative, and I've even learned a few things. So I think that's important to show up to these things and just to kind of get the flavor of what our college is looking for. In fact, just yesterday, Miss Erin and Miss Crystal and Mr. Hinchcliffe went to an ACT conference to learn about the ACT test and how it's changing over the next couple of years, and how it differs and is similar to the SAT test, and that's good information to have too. And so we're looking at trying to figure out a way, maybe next year, maybe the year after, to actually have the ACT done on our campus during the school day, so that you don't have to do your testing running off to Fallbrook High School or wherever a testing center is, and just do it as part of the regular how we do business kind of things. And I think that way, at least if your first test as a junior basically is taken care of, then you don't have to worry about so much about the stress of getting to the test center on a Saturday. You can just kind of focus in and take care of it. And then, if you do well, great. You've met your requirements for your college or not. And then if you need to take more, yeah, okay. But at least you have one under your belt and you have a place to kind of grow from. And we're also offering a lot more ACT, SAT test prep next year. It will be embedded into several of our classes. We're looking at ways to basically provide all of our sophomores and juniors with test prep materials. It's like actual physical things to take home so that they have something to work on Saturdays. Even if they're visiting their grandmother in Saskatchewan, and don't have internet access, they have books. So ways to provide those materials earlier and get more support in it more early, so that by the time they're actually ready to do their applications and ready to take their test, they feel very confident. So those things are in place as well.
I just wanted to mention, because this is a related topic, that if your students want to go to summer school at Palomar, that is also in the next week, I believe.
That's also going to go out next week, that application at the same time. And good idea for those of you that want to do acceleration, to get a class at Palomar, kind of, something. I would suggest the first one that the kids do on their own be something of high interest to the kids, just so that they're going to be locked in and they're going to want to do it, especially over summer. There's a lot of other distractions. So,
and it's fast paced because it's just 6 or 8 weeks. So.
And it's fast paced, 6 or 8 weeks, and
It's not that. I mean, our kids went, and it was such a positive experience, especially if we're still considering the merging of campuses.
Right.
Yeah.
They did really, really well.
And I would encourage all the kids to do that. I think that it's a great experience. I would, just obviously some kids are more focused than others, and so finding that class that's going to be right is going to be important. But Palomar offers a lot of stuff over the summer. I mean, everything from, they have some, crafting classes, they have theater classes,
right?
Then they of course they have their math, science, history, communication, speech, what have you. All those classes are being offered at one of the campuses. Computer stuff, sure. So yeah, doing one of those. And I know I would also encourage only one.
Yeah.
Because that's enough.
Imagine doing more.
That's enough over the summer.
Yeah.
And I know parents always come in, well, my kid's going to do 2 or 3 over this. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Right. No way you're gonna
like physically, you're going to run out of time in your day. So anyway, I would encourage one, but just stick at one. And then hopefully we'll have more news. We got an email from Mr. Jones yesterday that there will be more news about the co-location at the board meeting. So I think they've gotten some of their preliminary studies done, and they're going to come and present their preliminary findings and decide at that point if they need to do additional studies.
Environmental impact.
Right. So we've gotten some of the basics done now. The county came in and did their piece, and the county lady's going to come out and talk about what she discovered, and then whether or not we need to move forward. Path A, Path B, Path C. I don't know what the paths are, but either do more studies or go forward with meeting with Palomar to look at more specifics. I don't know what the next steps are, but that'll be discussed at the board meeting as well.
And the board meeting is this Wednesday?
It's
Next
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Second Wednesday of every month.
Second Wednesday. So
So the feasibility study is completed?
the preliminary feasibility studies.
Oh, preliminary, okay.
I don't know if you remember that he talked about there was that an actual feasibility study, relatively expensive, but that the county would do one for us for free.
Right.
So the county one, I guess, is done.
Okay.
So whether or not we need to move forward with a full-blown study of some kind, I think is part of what the discussion will be.
Does that require board approval?
That will require board approval.
Okay.
Which
And that's
is-
something that if we are moving forward, that they can get board approval that
That evening. I believe that to be true,
Okay.
yes. Okay, what else? May 16th, and parents, I would encourage you to attend if you have a senior, is the senior commitment day. Basically, this is sort of like the senior signing day that different schools do, where the students, this last week, basically May 1st, they had to make a decision about which college they're wanting to go to. So on May 16th, we'll be having a big celebration in our multipurpose room with cake and some refreshments, celebrating the kids' choices. So and we're calling it Commitment Day because we know a lot of kids are, yes, going to the four-year universities or going to a 2-year college, but other kids will be committing to military service or to a vocational program or what have it. So they're going to be the ones that we want to celebrate everybody's choice, and we want to just celebrate that you need to have a plan, and so commit to something, And so whatever that choice is, we'll be celebrating it that day, and everybody will have a chance to kind of do an official signing. The same time, I'll be giving out the senior awards, which is a little different from your regular your regular awards, that we'll be giving them the awards where they'll get the different sashes and the cords, that kind of stuff. We'll also be announcing local scholarships and things like that. So that will be happening that day, and that's on the 16th at 1 o'clock. Okay? And then grad night is the 24th, and prom is the 1st, and we're all looking forward to that. And then back for graduation on the 5th. Following the senior commitment day, by the way, we also have our graduation committee meeting. I think most everything is taken care of for graduation. Some things that we still need. We need a couple of just people just to be there as volunteers to help with, you know, crowd control, sending people in the right direction, helping the kids with their caps and gowns. People would probably need some donations of things like bobby pins, because those are always things that you need for the gowns. You know, you don't think about that till you get there. That kind of stuff, just kind of the small
Safety
things.
pins.
Safety pins.
Bobby
Sa-
pins or hair?
Fine.
And cap.
Both.
Fine. Safety pins
Bobby pins too.
and bobby pins.
Super glue.
But whatever, all those things.
Duct tape.
Crafting items. I don't know.
Thimbles.
So those things, we'll need help with that, and you know, somebody just to help out with those pieces, you know, and also probably flowers, things like that, donations of flowers, and maybe calling around to help with some of the last minute donation stuff, food, water, that kind of stuff.
I'll help you if you want to put my name down.
Okay.
I'll definitely help on graduation day.
Perfect.
What
Perfect.
day is that?
Graduation itself, or the graduation committee meeting. The graduation committee is on May 16th, and it's at 4 o'clock.
Holy smokes, there's a lot going on.
And when is graduation?
And graduation is June 5th. And we're going to be asking the kids and volunteers to be here at 3:30. Where graduation itself, I'm going to say this wrong.
7.
It's either 5 or 6.
It's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, thank you. Times are hard. 6 o'clock. So that'll actually be kind of nice. You know, it is on the field, so it'll probably start out kind of hot, but then it'll cool down as we get towards the end of the day.
And that's June gloom time, so you never know.
Yeah.
Might not be that hot.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not raining. That's the other piece. But we have the, you know, the chairs, the big things, the sound system, all that's taken care of. So that's just the small stuff. Cool.
Is there anything else?
And then the last thing, kind of update, I know we talked about website last time. We do have a plan. The district is actually going to help cover the transition to a different platform called Edlio. And they actually have a contract with them that they're going to help design our school website with input from us as that develops. So that should start rolling sometime soon. That's another item that apparently required board approval, so that will happen afterwards.
Did that already get approved?
No, I don't think so, but I'm hoping at the May meeting.
Okay.
But I didn't see it on the agenda, so I don't know if we're having to wait till June's board meeting or not.
I have a call or a message into William to talk about that whole thing.
Okay, good.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I agree that our current website is not the best. So we definitely need to make some kind of change. And I think we can do a lot with a website if we just have the will to get it done. And we
Yeah.
just need to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have. Any other questions about anything?
Is the Olympics, is that May 23rd or 28th?
May,
I had it down as the 28th, but Naz said the 23rd, so I just wanted to
let me check.
get the right date.
It's on the calendar. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone for the recording, so I can't look, but.
Okay, I'm looking up. Doesn't matter, May 28th is just the day after.
It looks like it's the 23rd. It's on the calendar for the 23rd.
Okay, got
Is
it.
that the field day? That's the, is
Yeah,
that the same as
would
the
they-
field day?
That's
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I have the 23rd. That's what she
Yeah,
said?
that's,
Yeah?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's BHS Olympics, and
Okay.
that will be a little bit different than in the past too. There will be some opportunities for parents to do some fundraising there. You know, so kind of like what they've done at the elementary schools where they've had their marathons and their runs that
Oh,
they've
good idea.
allowed some people to donate.
Sponsor a
Sponsor
mile
an
or
event
whatever.
or, yeah, to do all those kind of things, and we're gonna have a number of events, so there'll be some options for all of you to spend money to benefit the school. And thank you.
What time is that?
That's actually all day, and once we get a little closer, it starts at 8:45 and we're done at 2:15. So we'll have each of the events sort of scheduled throughout the day. And then probably at the very end of the day will be an awards assembly. So, more of an awards assembly for, yeah, you ran the fastest as opposed to academics or anything. But we'll do that at the very end, like 2 o'clock or 1:45, something like that. Okay.
And the senior trip, that's the 25th?
The senior trip is
I'm pretty sure.
that.
I'm just going off, I don't know if that's on the website or not, a teacher gave me some dates, I just wanted to.
That's the 24th is the senior trip, and that's graduating. So, well, it's actually the 24th into the 25th. So,
Okay.
because it's an all-nighter.
Oh, okay, you got it, okay, so then and then May 24th, end of the year pep rally, got it.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. Senior year craziness.
If anyone's
Jennifer, do you want to come up and talk about
interested-
Teacher Appreciation Day?
Today's the
Or-
deadline to sign up for June 1st SAT. I just signed up my daughter.
Oh, very good.
Sign up for what? The June 1st SAT.
Oh.
I did a couple days ago.
Where do you take that? Where is it given?
There's different sites. We're going to El Camino High School as opposed to others.
Great. Any more questions? Jennifer's going to come up and talk about Teacher Appreciation Day for a moment.
Just really quickly, and Dr. Fowler, can you confirm, are there 35 total staff members? Does that sound about right?
That sounds perfect. Yes.
Okay. All right, so next Thursday, the 9th, we're doing the teacher staff, it's really staff appreciation luncheon. And it's perfect potluck, and I think Todd sent out the link, and I'm hoping we might do one more send out
Yeah.
on Monday just by itself.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we get all of those things filled, and Larissa had some additions that she wants me to add, so I'm gonna do that, like maybe some gift cards for raffles. I cannot be there in the morning to set up or during. I can only be there for cleanup, so I would love it if somebody would take the lead on that for setting that up and getting it prepped.
I can do it. Yeah.
It's the 9th.
I kind of have it scheduled on my calendar to like make stuff in the morning, so I
Oh.
guess I'll just kind of make
That
the
would
whole
be-
morning of it.
That would
Yeah.
be great. Thank you so much.
What
So
day,
Yeah.
I can help you, Todd, what day is it?
it's next Thursday, so it's the 9th.
So setting up on the 9th?
Yeah.
Setting up like before school?
Well,
The luncheon
sometime in the
starts at
morning.
12:20.
Okay.
So, yeah, when you bring your kids or whatever, maybe 10 o'clock or 11, start getting stuff
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's it.
All right. Perfect.